Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? College football pick'ems for this week. I found 5 games. Obviously, as we've seen over the past couple of weeks, I think each of the last 2 or 3 weeks, one of our games has ended up getting COVID postponed. So that's why I'm trying to find a 5th college game each week, just in case one of them falls by the wayside. Sean, looking at our results from last week, each of us went 2-2 in college football, bringing me to 19-14 overall. You are 25-8 overall on the college football season, which sounds really good. But you started, I think, the first 3 weeks you were undefeated. So
yeah, I've been fumbling a bit.
Yeah,
2 straight 500 weeks.
So
we gotta get the ball moving. I'm feeling pretty confident this week. Got some good juju coming my way. I feel it.
All right, very good. We are going to start, and this is the big one. This is the big one that we even alluded to a little bit last week. Number 9, Indiana. They are 4-0. They travel to number 3, Ohio State, who's 3-0. They are a 21.5 point home favorite. 64.5 is the over/under. This one at noon on Fox. I don't know if Indiana is good enough to win this game. I don't know just how good Indiana is. I mean, I think we're fairly confident that Ohio State's a pretty damn good football team. Indiana looks like a pretty damn good football team. So for me, I'm gonna put it this way. I'm definitely taking the over because I think these are 2 fairly dynamic offenses. Ohio State probably more so, obviously. But there is, in my mind, there is no way that Ohio State is covering 21.5 on this Indiana team. Maybe I'm buying in too much. So I'm taking Indiana to cover the 21.5. I still think Ohio State wins this game, but I am absolutely taking Indiana to cover 21.5. And you
better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
They're going to cover. I don't know if they're going to win. But Matt, we'll go to you. Indiana, Ohio State.
So, like we alluded to earlier, the Big Ten has so many fewer games than everyone else. So I think they really have to kind of make a statement win here. Ohio State does, and I think they do. So I'm taking Ohio State minus the 21.5. And I will take the under as well. I think it's just going to be an absolute drubbing. And I think that Ohio State makes their statement for why they should be in the college football playoff, even though they'll only have 8 games at the end of the year.
All right, there you go. And Sean, what do you got? Indiana at Ohio State.
Well, yeah, and I think a few weeks ago I pointed out that with Indiana's schedule, the way it lines up, they do have this. They do still have to play Wisconsin. But if you can survive those 2 games, I made the argument that, from a track record standpoint, the teams that you've beat, Indiana, in my opinion, if you get through these 4 games, if Ohio State stood a legitimate chance at being there just for being Ohio State, then Indiana would essentially be in the playoff. So they're going to have that as a motivator. I think that it has proven to be not a fluke, but this is by far going to be the best double-sided talent they're going to see. And I'm with Matt on this. I think as far as, if there's any question as to whether an 8-game schedule belongs in the top 4, you're going to need to win against teams that are ranked, and you're going to need to do it handedly. And for that reason, I see Ohio State pulling no punches at any point. I think Ohio State covers that 21.5. I'm not going to say easily. I think they're going to put up a lot of points. I think you could see Ohio State well into 2/3 of that over-under mark on their own. I do think Indiana is a dynamic team, so I do see them scoring some. I think they're going to, try some trickery and stuff and maybe get their points early before they're completely kind of just starting to hang their heads a little bit. But I think it's going to push over. I don't think by a lot, though. I think Ohio State's going to come out. Ohio State's going to, you might see this right around the 30-point mark and really make a statement game here in the Big Ten.
All right, then we go to the AAC, number 7, Cincinnati, 7-0. They're a 4.5-point road favorite at UCF. Seems weird to see them outside of the top 25, but they are 5-2. 62.5 is your over-under on this one, 3:30 Eastern time on ESPN. I think Cincinnati is one of the teams I had in this conference coming out of this conference in their title game. And they are handling everything up to this point as business as usual. I like Cincinnati to keep the ball rolling. I think they're going to cover that 4.5. I think they're going to win fairly easily here. I'm not trying to just throw shade at UCF because they make up fake championships or whatever, but I just this isn't their year. I think that they've finally faced some struggles that they're not used to being in that position. I'm going to take the under though. I just something makes me feel like these two teams aren't going to score as typically as we're used to seeing teams in that conference. So Cincinnati to cover and the under in this game. And we'll go to you again, Matt.
You hate to see the fall from grace that UCF had here, from national championships to not ranked. So I think I'm just on a roll today. I think Cincinnati wins and covers, but I do think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I don't know a ton about the defenses, but I know that neither is necessarily known for being a defensive stalwart. So points will be put up, but at the end, Cincinnati will cover, and I think they'll cover handily.
All right, Sean, how about you?
All right, just to clear up the defensive question for Cincinnati, most points they've given up this year, 20. In an opening round game to Appalachian State. Rest were 10-7, 13-10, 10-17. And the lowest amount they've scored was a 24 in a 24-10 win of Army, where they probably had the ball 5 times. So
probably.
This is a team with a really high-powered smoking offense and a really good defense. And when you break down UCF's schedule, it's really a tale of two UCF teams. They have 2 close losses to 2 good teams. They had a loss to Tulsa, who Cincinnati has not had to play. That game was postponed. And the difference the one you kind of do the comparison on, they lost 50-49 in a defensive struggle at Memphis. And they the coinciding game with Cincinnati against Memphis was a close one, 49-10. So you take Memphis, who arguably, I think Memphis was actually my pick coming out of this conference.
I think so, yeah.
And kind of one of those teams I thought might be one of those wild card challenges, because at that time there was no Big Ten playing. So I was like, maybe they challenge for a playoff spot. No one from this conference is going to. I think UCF, since those 2 losses, they've really started to drudge some opponents again and really start smack some teams around. So I think they're going to put up a fight. Spread's too close though. For me to think that there's any real cover risk here. I think Cincinnati's safe to carry this one home. I'm too going to take the over though. I really wanted to take UCF here and take the bold pick, but I started picking against you on purpose a couple of weeks ago, and it started costing me some games. So we're going to just try to really take a handle on the season, but we'll do it the old-fashioned way, 1 game at a time. And Cincinnati in the over.
Say by all means, you can continue that strategy, Sean. Feel free. Then we go back to the Big Ten. Number 10, Wisconsin. Again, they showed no signs of rust after a few weeks off. They are 2-0, 7-point road favorite at number 19, Northwestern, who is currently leading that division at 4-0. 45.5 is your over/under, 3:30 on ABC. Look, I think seeing Northwestern back near the top of the Big Ten standings is somewhat refreshing and nice for a vintage college football fan. But there is nothing that they have shown me so far that tells me that they are going to compete with and or defeat this Wisconsin team. The 2 showings that Wisconsin has had, they have just looked absolutely dominant. Now, granted, one of them was Illinois, but I'm gonna roll with the Badgers here. I think they're going to cover the 7. They're going to win this one fairly easily. I think they're also aware that for them to make the college football playoff, especially with losing 2 games. They are going to absolutely have to house every team that they play. So they're going to do that here. Obviously, I'm going to take the over. So, yeah, Wisconsin plus and the over. Sean, we'll kick it to you first.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of that question last week of what Wisconsin product are you going to see? Is it going to be anything close to what we're used to seeing? And look, business as usual. I don't know. Somewhere around 14 different running backs touched the ball in that game, and every one of them looked like an NFL starter. Whether that's a statement to them or Michigan, I'm not real sure.
Both.
But whether Michigan's ranked or not, to come back after not playing for 2 weeks, go into the Big House, make that kind of statement, says, hey, we're here to play. As for the playoff, if Wisconsin's in that playoff, undefeated or not, I don't see I don't see the games in their schedule that are going to say anything. Maybe with the Big Ten title win and some losses above them, but with 6 games, 7 games, I would be shocked if you saw.
I would think they would need a little help.
They're going to need a lot of help up top. A lot of teams exchanging losses, but I think this is one where a 7-point spread, and maybe this is Vegas coming to get me. But that, to me, I mean, Northwestern has not been blowing teams out. They have not taken control of any game, really. It's been kind of nail biters all season long. And I don't think this one's going to be. This might be their first game that's not a nail biter. Unfortunately, it's not going to be to their favor. I like Wisconsin. They're going to steamroll. They're going to roll well past the 7 points, maybe 21, 28-point win here. I think it's a real statement game in that half of the Big Ten. I will also take the over, and this one you can lock up.
Whoa.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
All right, Matt, we'll go to you.
So I'm still not over the Notre Dame loss to Northwestern years ago, and I'm still not over Mike Golick for betting on it. And then, 2 years later, betting on the Miami game where we got trounced. So I'm glad Mike Golick's not betting on Notre Dame anymore. But that still resonates with me. So I'm going to take Wisconsin. And big. It's fine to have Northwestern up high, but I mean it's just kind of like the Big Ten is so weird this year that to see them ranked is just kind of like is this truly deserving, or are they just kind of there because not a lot of teams are doing well this time around? So
I think it's just we'll put them in the 20 range. That way, if they lose, we can just throw them back in the trash can. You keep them just close enough, you can just pitch them
unranked.
But if they win, it's like, see, we told you.
Yeah, see, they're ranked. But otherwise,
rolling up the newspaper and
yeah, get out.
No,
you don't belong here.
So yeah, but I mean, I like watching good Big Ten football games. I don't think this will be one of them, but so Wisconsin big. What was the spread? Over under?
45.5.
I will go under on that.
You don't even go here.
Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? All right, then we go to the Big 12. Number 14, Oklahoma State, 5-1. They are at number 18, Oklahoma, who's 5-2, 7.5-point home favorite. 58.5 is your over-under. This one's 7:30 Eastern time on ABC. Oklahoma looked really bad to start the year. They look like they're starting to play what we know as Oklahoma football again. Oklahoma State, I feel like every year they start off 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, and then they forget that they're not like one of the top teams in the Big 12 and they just start to fall apart. So I think that it's a lethal combination.
It's also what Texas does.
That is also what Texas does. Absolutely. So I'm going to go with the Sooners to continue to roll here. I think they're going to cover the 7.5, and obviously it's the Big 12. Regardless of what the number is, for me, it's always the over. Matt, we'll go to you.
Yeah, the over-under could be 126. I'm taking the over. But yeah, I mean, Oklahoma's turning around. I still think they're ranked too high after the 2 losses that early. But, it's the Big 12, and I guess they need some representative towards the top, and Lord knows it's not going to be Texas. So why not Oklahoma again? So I think I don't think we'll see any defense at all. I think we might see maybe a punt in this game.
Maybe a fake punt.
I would set the over-under on punts at maybe 2.
2. I take the under.
Yeah. But good old JR is going to have a good day, and Boomer Sooner will prevail.
There will. Sean, how about you?
Well, I'm going to bet on whatever team's from Oklahoma. Which one's from? Anyway, I think when you're following the track records here, Oklahoma State was on a pretty good tear, and I still think they have an offense that is real good. Unfortunately, it decided to sputter. I think the loss to Texas kind of knocked them off their rails a little bit, and I don't think. I mean, I don't know how you don't see it coming. I think if you're a player, you're like, are we really still winning? Okay, let's keep going. I do find Vegas spreads funny because this game opened at like 9.5 and it shrank a little bit to like a touchdown. And I'm like, does that mean people are betting on Oklahoma State? Is there something I should know? And then I realize it's probably just because in the Big 12, it's usually whoever has the ball last. So a 10-point spread is like, no one's going to win by 2 scores.
Right, exactly.
Like 2 scores. That means somebody had to stop someone.
Right. I mean, there had to be a defensive series somewhere.
Somebody had to make a defensive play, and I didn't even know they started any. I thought it was too many men on the field. Turns out there was just an officiating crew in the defensive backfield. Having said that, I'm kind of with you guys. I think Oklahoma's found their stride. I think they're still looking for something to hang the hat on this year. You had the win against Texas. That helps a lot. I think, getting a chance to do what was done to you early in the season to another team trying to make their own push into a New Year's Day Bowl, especially a team from the same state, would say a lot for your program, maybe save some face for a coaching staff. I think Oklahoma, I'd say they win in a rout. In the Big 12, that's like 8 points. So we're in a rout in a real defensive struggle. And by defensive struggle, I mean the defenses will struggle. This should go over easily. If there's one thing I've learned, never bet the under in the Big 12. They just need to start. If you're Vegas, just start setting the over under at like 95. And
right.
Just see if
anybody is gonna make a play on that.
Yeah, make a play. You got to find a higher number because they're still only putting them in like this is. I'm showing it at 60, so it couldn't have moved that much.
No. Yeah,
what Big 12 game is like 30-30?
Yeah, and I mean, what was it? Wake Forest and North Carolina had nearly 100 points, especially this year. I mean, it's.
I think this over under. It's not going to double 60, but it's gonna make you start questioning it right around the start of the fourth quarter. You're gonna be like, is this really going to be 120 total points? And it might.
Let's see. We got a comment. I miss hyping IU. Would never do this in any other year. Yeah. Look, man. I think we're giving them a chance. That's all we can do for this week. Is we can give Indiana a chance. I'm not going to say they're going to win. I gave them a shot. I said they were going to cover. I locked it up. I said they're going to cover 21.5. The other two here, they didn't want to give Indiana the benefit.
I like Indiana. I hope my pick is wrong. I hope they win straight up. But I like I said at the time, I don't see Ohio State pulling any punches. I think you're going to see trickery if it comes to it. They're going to exploit any matchups that they find in the middle of the game. They're going to hit them where
Jake's
it hurts
locking it up.
a lot of times. Yeah, I saw Jake lock it up. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I think anybody wanting to bet a 7-point spread on the Buckeyes should feel pretty safe with their money.
Is game day this week covering that, or are they in Bedlam?
I think they're in Bedlam because I think since this game's on Fox, I think like the Fox Big Noon Kickoff show, their pregame show is at Ohio State this week. So yeah, and then we have one more college game before.
You mean they're not at the Georgia Tech Miami game?
No.
Seems like a big one.
I was on their short list.
Go Yellow Jackets.
Of games. Yeah, exactly. Miami stinks. They're number 8, number 8, number 7, something like that. They're not a top 10 team.
Well, I'm showing them at 12.
12, is that what it is? I knew they were.
So that's a little more realistic, but I think they still continue to crumble. But
I hope
not
so.
much the Ramblin' Wreck are going to do to stop them.
No. All right, one more. Let's go to the Pac-12. Number 20 USC. They are 2-0, 2.5 point road favorite at Utah, who's actually playing their first game. They've had 2 cancellations already due to COVID. I think one with them and one with an opponent. 56.5 is your over/under. 10:30 Eastern time on ESPN. This is a game. USC has not looked very good. Like, if there's one disappointment I have, and I think you guys can back me up on this one,
it's that they didn't lose.
It's that they didn't lose, but I'm also going to miss us kicking their freaking teeth in this year, because that's been kind of a fun thing over the past few matchups in that series after what happened to us in the early 2000s. So missing an opportunity to kick USC in the teeth is just another thing that 2020 has stolen from us. But USC has not been really that good here to start the season, and for that I'm gonna take Utah in what I guess can be considered an upset to start the season, beating USC at home. I'm definitely taking the over, because much like the Big 12, the Pac-12 does not play much defense. So Utah to win the game, pull the upset, and the over. Sean, will go to you.
Yeah, this is a tough one because it's the good news for Utah is that like you kind of alluded to there, USC really hasn't hit any kind of stride. It's they're winning games, but I mean they should have they practically lost one and should have lost the other. And so it's just kind of one of these scenarios where, like, will the real USC please stand up? And nobody's standing up. So it's like kind of this thing. And then you got the question of Utah, who wasn't going to necessarily ever ever challenge Oregon, at least not from any expert standpoint for the Pac-12 title. But they were kind of in the mix, kind of right around the same odds to win it as USC was, kind of in the downside is you don't know what product is there either. I mean, everybody's been sick. This is a team that it's not like they were getting games canceled because of unfortunate opponents. Like, it was them. So I don't know. I think it's a close, the 3-point spread. I'm going to take Utah to at least cover, make it like, a 1-point game. I mean, I think it might be a 3-point spread. That's all USC seems to want to win by. So I'm fine with that, but I think Utah is going to be real excited to come out and play some football. And this team does have a lot of talent. They've been recruiting better than they ever have, at least in my lifetime. And I think just kind of that excitement to get to play and to get to open at home is real big. That's USC even in the past few years isn't a team that's traveled real well. And man, if they can't do anything in those first 2 games, I don't see them traveling real well. Give me the Utes. Give me the cover. I guess, what was the over-under? We looking at 60-ish?
56.5 is what I had.
It shrank a little bit. I don't know. I don't think either. I think a team that hasn't played yet and a team that's failed to score, I'm going to take the under on that. It's very rare I do that in any game west of the Mississippi. But I'm going to go ahead and take the under just based on the status of these 2 teams coming into this game.
We can't forget, you can't spell sucks without USC.
It's true.
Thing sucks.
Matt, we go to you.
Yeah, you'll never hear me pick USC to win anything ever. So Utah is going to get the win here. And even without my bias, I think that, with the Pac-12 being the way it is and everyone kind of having a shot this year and Utah having the recruiting class that they do, I think it makes it a little more interesting. They'll be a little more fired up. And USC probably feels like they don't have much to play for because they probably know even if they go undefeated, they're not sniffing the playoffs, so who really cares this year? So I take Utah.
All right.
And the over.
Over. Gotcha. All right, that is going to do it for us for the college football picks. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?